As the University of Leicester consults on the possible closure of the Vaughan Centre, the University and College Union has launched a petition of no confidence. Plans put forward by the university to close its adult education centre have been generally met with criticism from the local council, amongst others. The university has previously explained that high running costs are making the centre unsustainable. Well, we've got representatives from the university, as Martyn, Riddleston and also Grady from the UCU here in the studio. Afternoon, both of you.
Hello. Afternoon.
Martyn, look, I'll come to you first about this because it seems that this has been a rather, it's been met with a bit of criticism, as I said. It's fairly unpopular here. You mentioned it comes down to money. It must be fairly serious then.
It certainly is, and of course this fits within the wider picture of the university, that we have to make sure that the university's income and expenditure are in balance and that we're generating a surplus, which means that we're going to be here for the long term and continue to be a great successful institution and a really important part of the Leicester community. And that means that we have to think really hard, and sometimes it means that we have to take really difficult decisions, and we have to think about both the financial aspects of parts of our university, but also whether we've got the right performance that will mean that our students that come to study at the university are getting the best experience that they can, and that the research that we do is really of the quality that it needs to be. So sometimes we have to make hard decisions, and we know that sometimes can be difficult. And of course, as you mentioned, we are partway through a consultation. We haven't actually made a decision yet about the future of Vaughan. We're consulting with the staff involved, and of course we'll take that very seriously in terms of what they want to say to us.
Mm. Joe, I mean, at this point, it seems, because they're only halfway through the consultation, is a vote of no confidence a little bit strong for this time?
I think if you're working at the university, we've been aware since the 6th of April that the university was wanting to make redundancies. And since the 2nd of June, we received an email from the Vice-Chancellor, all staff, outlining that there would be at least 150 compulsory redundancies. We're at the minute trying to start preparing for term, preparing to welcome new students. Would you feel confident working in an institution where anybody could lose their job out of 150 compulsory redundancies? So, and the line that's just been put forward is that there may be no intention to close Vaughan, but we know that they've stopped admitting students on those courses. So the way this is felt on the ground by people who work there, by people who are scared they're going to lose their jobs, by people who are worried about how that's going to impact on their research and the way in which students feel this, they just essentially don't believe the university. And if you look at the petition website, there is a document there that was commissioned by UCU that looks at the finances that you've provided, which essentially calls them into question. It offers forward an alternative analysis, and I would urge our listeners to go and have a look. It also argues that this is a manufactured crisis, and it's a manufactured crisis in order to push through organisational change, and that academics and professional services staff at the university are paying the price because the university is chasing a surplus. And, this isn't about us wanting to scare anybody. This is people, concerned members of the University of Leicester, who have been attending meetings, quorum meetings, and saying, we don't have any faith in this university anymore. We don't have any faith in the university leadership team anymore. This is people who are scared and worried. This isn't people who are trying to create trouble.
Martyn, why isn't adult education something that university would like to invest in then and try and make it balance the books?
So, as I said earlier, we're partway through a consultation process, so no decisions have been made at this point.
But you've threatened people with redundancy.
Well, we're partway through a legal process, of course, and we have to follow due process and give people the opportunity to understand what we've said to them, allow them to think about what the alternatives might be. And the staff of the centre at the moment, I know, are putting together an alternative proposal. And of course, we will give due consideration to that as we go through the next couple of months.
Any confidence from that?
No, and I think, the initial notification of redundancies that happened in April, on the 6th of April, asked people to come forward. We then got an email, all staff, on the 2nd of June, which people felt was quite threatening, which was essentially the tone of it was, not enough people have come forward. We are concerned, therefore we are now, putting together business cases. So, this language of we're asking people to reconsider their options, how is that to be felt by people who've received a letter from essentially, the leader of their organisation saying 151 of you will be compulsorily made redundant, and we are currently drawing up business cases to do that. And I just think that, if the reason that so many people have been signing this petition since it was launched is because they do not have any confidence in the data that you're showing us about the financial crisis. That's why we've commissioned our own report that claims something very different. They don't have any confidence in the leadership team, and that's why so many people have got behind this motion of no confidence. And it's not about the consultation period being over or not being over. There hasn't been any consultation properly. There's just legal compliance here.
Martyn, it's obviously going to be a difficult subject. We're not going to be able to pick through all of the bones of it in this conversation. But, could this have been handled better by the university at least? I mean, it's going to be a passionate subject for a lot of people in adult education. Some people are going to look at the university as having a responsibility to those people to provide those sorts of services as well. So you can understand why the passion is there. Could this have been handled better?
So if we just spend a moment talking about the document that's come out today on the financial crisis, which of course sets the tone, sets the environment for what we're talking about today. So from a university perspective, actually, we're really sad and really disappointed that the UCU have taken this step, because over the last few months we've had lots of discussions. The university's engaged actually in a transparent way, and we've met with colleagues from the trade union in both informal and formal meetings, and we've shared lots of information with them. When we shared the information on the university's finances, what the trade union said to us is that they would go away and they'd look at that, and they actually asked if they could come back and talk to me about and ask questions, and of course I said yeah, absolutely. And then yesterday, quite by surprise, we've received this document on whether or not there's a financial crisis, and actually that's been done without talking to us, and there are a number of items in there which are just really taken out of context, and we're worried that members of the university, be that students or members of staff, actually are being misled by the document that's been put out, and without giving us the opportunity to talk about it before, we actually feel that we want to make clear that not everything that has been put out by UCU is actually correct.
I would ask people to go online, look at the petition and read the document and make their own minds up. All the university staff have been asking, and the UCU, is for the university to withdraw the threat of compulsory redundancies. The idea that we can do the business of universities, teach, learn, share ideas, whilst the threat of every single member of staff of compulsory redundancies hanging above their heads is not a way in which we can operate.
Would you do that?
So you have to look at the wider context. That of course we're a little bit different. We're a university. What we do is a bit different. But the way that we have to run our finances is no different to a business or an NHS trust or the local
Well, that's
council.
absolutely right, Martyn. I'm sorry for interjecting, but businesses make themselves work, don't they? And if they're not working at the time, they find ways, and they find ways to do it, and they make a choice, they make a decision to look into things in detail and try and manipulate that to make it pay, because it's obviously of a benefit to a great deal of people that go there.
Absolutely, and us as members of the senior management team of Leicester absolutely want the university to play its part and to be a great successful organisation.
Without the Vaughan Centre. So,
as I said before, we're partway through the consultation. We will make a decision, of course, once we've got all of that, the responses to the consultation. But we have to make sure that the university is on a really good, sound, sustainable footing. And sometimes that will mean that we have to take difficult decisions, and we need to do that in an appropriate way.
Martyn, Jo, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
BBC Radio Leicester.